Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction. This time we have Gretchen Whitmer up against Donald Trump. The only scenario that this occurs with Whitmer v. Trump is if at the convention Biden just decides to drop out and pretty much just lets the delegates choose who the candidate is. I think it's very likely to pick a Democratic governor, and I could see Whitmer being one of those top candidates here. She is mentioned a lot in the media, and I could definitely see them picking her strategically because she is from the state of Michigan, so she would have that Rust Belt appeal, being from a Rust Belt state, and I definitely think Michigan could be a potential tipping point state in 2024. So far, I'm still thinking probably, honestly, it might be Michigan. It's either Michigan or Pennsylvania. That's my take on it. But let's get right into this prediction. So I do think Whitmer, being from the Rust Belt, she would definitely do well among those Rust Belt voters. I do think she could do well among populist voters as well with the policies she passed in Michigan. So I do think she'd be a pretty formidable candidate, definitely an upgrade over Joe Biden in the 2024 election, that's for sure. And she's much younger than Biden. So now the age issue would shift towards Donald Trump, who's in his late 70s. So Whitmer could run on just hitting Trump for being old instead of the other way around, which would definitely help Democrats. But let's get right into this prediction. So the first two states, or first few states, not two. Alaska with ranked choice voting, I do think Trump is pretty much guaranteed to go under 10% in the state of Alaska, so I have this as likely Republican. Moving on to Iowa and Ohio. Again, I just kind of see Whitmer doing better than Biden in both these states, but not by enough to make them lean Republican. I think it'll just be likely Republican. She keeps them from going safe Republican in the general election, which they're currently set to do in 2024 in a Biden v. Trump rematch. Moving on to Nebraska's second district, I definitely think she would outperform Joe Biden in this district. I think she would do better in the suburban district and just do better with independent voters because she's a lot younger. She's a proven Democratic governor who's won by a pretty big margin, passed a lot of policies in her state. So I really think that her legislative achievements and her being a much younger and more formidable candidate would make Nebraska second likely blue. Moving on to Florida, I still think it would be likely Republican in this scenario. I think Florida is just a lost cause for Democrats. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida just ends up as a safe Republican state in 2024. We have to see. But so far, I think Trump's probably going to win against Whitmer here by about 6.5%. I think she would be a good enough candidate to hold Trump down to like a 6 or 7 point victory in the state of Florida. But again, it really doesn't matter. Florida's just gone off the board for Democrats. It's no longer a swing state, that's for sure. Moving on to the state of Texas, it's debatable. I think Whitmer could get it down below 5, probably like a 4.5% Trump victory. I do think she'd be a good enough candidate to appeal to independent voters here in the state of Texas, but it's not enough to really make it a swing state in 2024. Moving on to Virginia, I think it would be a safe blue state. I think she would unite most of the Democratic coalition here, but New Mexico, I think, would go likely blue. Honestly, I think Virginia is probably going to be more Democratic than New Mexico is in the 2024 election, just because of that drift with Latino voters that Democrats are experiencing. So, yeah, I think that'll be a very real thing going into 2024. But that's why I have New Mexico as likely blue and Virginia as safe blue. Moving on to Maine and New Hampshire. I think both these states are likely blue in this scenario. Again, New Hampshire just doesn't like Trump. Nearly every poll shows him down here by a likely blue margin against Biden, with Whitmer being a better candidate, a much younger candidate too. I think New Hampshire is a likely blue state. Same with Maine at large, and Maine's first district is safe. And Maine's second, I still think it would be about a likely Republican district against Whitmer and Trump. Okay, let's see here. Which states we head to next? I guess North Carolina. I don't think Whitmer would have the best appeal with African American voters. It really depends on who she picks as her VP choice. If she picks Warnock, I think that would be a good way of energizing black voters here. He did pretty well with getting out the vote back in the Georgia Senate race, and he was even had cross-party appeal. He got ticket splitters to vote for him. So if she picks Warnock as a VP, I think that'd be a good choice for her, but I still don't think North Carolina would flip even in that event. Georgia, on the other hand, Trump is just polling extremely well in Georgia, leading by like a likely margin or so against Biden. But with Whitmer, she would make it a lot more competitive. But again, I don't see her getting the biggest like black turnout in the state. And that's what you really need to win in Georgia. So again, like I said, depends. If she picks Warnock, then I could see it on the board. But right now, it's just Whitmer v. Trump in this scenario, not including VP picks. But so far, I still think Trump would narrowly win Georgia over. I think this is his easiest state to flip, by the way, from 2020. All right, let's see here. Nevada and Arizona, again with Latino voters. I think we would see a little less drift. I think Whitmer would do well with independent voters. I do think she would outperform Biden in both of these states of Nevada and Arizona. So I have Arizona as lean blue and Nevada as tilt blue. I definitely think Arizona is going to be more Democratic than Nevada come 2024, just based off the trends. And the fact that Democrats are actually doing well in party registration numbers from Arizona, I believe. And they're just getting a lot of these like moderate Republicans to like swap sides pretty much in the state of Arizona. That's really the story there and how it got so blue. But let's see here. The Rust Belt states. This is really where Whitmer is going to shine in this election scenario. So her home state of Michigan, most polls have her up here by a likely blue margin. I have no doubt she would be able to pretty much easily carry the state of Michigan against Donald Trump. She is a popular governor here. She won by double digits back in 2022. In Minnesota, I think that would also carry over here. I do think she would have good Rust Belt appeal, good populist appeal, and be able to win over Minnesota by a likely blue margin, just like Michigan. In neighboring Wisconsin, it's a neighboring state of Michigan. I do think she would have good Rust Belt appeal. I do think she would be able to win over Wisconsin voters here, win over those independents. I do think she would definitely outperform Joe Biden here in this state. And honestly, in Pennsylvania, I think she would outperform Joe Biden as well. I just think her being a much younger candidate, proven governor, she faced less issues than other Democratic governors. She's passed a lot of legislation. I do think that she would just have a better appeal to independent voters here and just do better with the populist types of voters. So I have Pennsylvania as a lean blue state. So Whitmer pretty much wins the 2024 election. The only difference from the 2020 map is Georgia flips red because it currently looks poised to do so in 2024, just based off the polling. But she could reverse that with a good VP pick that could potentially boost black turnout, like with Warnock, or for example. I think he would definitely help her out in the state of Georgia. But as of right now, I have Gretchen Whitmer winning against Trump. The popular vote probably goes in favor of her by like 3% or so, maybe more. Again, Trump's just a very old candidate. So you run someone like Whitmer's a generic Democrat, much younger. Democrats fare a lot better. So I do think Whitmer would probably be the best replacement candidate. I mean, you just look at the Rust Belt states, and that's just enough of a blue wall here to prevent Trump from winning. But other than that, that's pretty much my election prediction if it was these two candidates as of right now in the month of March 2024. If you're new to this channel, I would highly recommend subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. And leave some comments down below what you think about this scenario. Do you agree on or do you disagree on some states? Let me know. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. See y'all in the next one.